Hey guys and gals, good morning. Jay Rich here. It's Wednesday, December 23rd, and it's about 4 a.m. here in Panama City. And I'm just waking up, starting the day. And hey, I just wanted to say thanks for watching. And you guys should definitely congratulate yourselves for watching these channels and these episodes of The Creative Producer. I say that because, if you guys are following, look at my channel. I mean, if you look at these articles where I come out and we talk about health, and we talk about solutions, we talk about things that can make you feel better, and more importantly, we talk about things that will make you live longer and better. But all you have to do are just a couple things. And because I'm not talking about some simple solution like a pill or something that you have to buy, no one is interested in watching. Because all I'm telling them, they have to change their behavior. No one wants to change their behavior. And no one wants to hear that they need to change their behavior. Most likely because their behaviors were taught to them by their parents. And their parents taught them those behaviors. So when I start talking change of behavior, I'm not just talking saying, hey man, if you do that, I'm basically insulting his parents or her parents, or how you were raised, or how you raise your children, because I'm going off something that you feel that you are an expert in. Everyone feels that they're an expert in food. I mean, you feed yourself, you feed other people, you feed your children. And I'm saying you're doing it wrong. And everyone's like, well, who wants to hear that? Well, about 23 of you guys, and so that's great. And so that's what I appreciate, because I guess when I say I appreciate it, I mean for you. Like, you should thank yourself, because I have videos with 0 views out there. I also have videos with over 20,000 views. And I know which ones get me views. Obviously the ones where we talk about health are ones where get me closer to the 0. But I do it not because I want views. I do it because if I am not here to tell you what I learned, let's say if I died tomorrow, who would you look to as a model for what it looks like to be a human who doesn't eat sugar? Show me one person who doesn't eat sugar and caffeine. Show me them. And show me what they look like. Because if I'm not here, then I can't tell you how to do this. I'm not saying you should do this, but let's just say down the road, maybe not today, you're 30 years old, I don't need that shit, but let's say you hit 50, and man, you're kind of feeling, you got real fat, or you're feeling a little just depressed as fuck. Something might click like, man, remember that guy Jerry Rich? He was saying something about sugar causes depression. Or let's say somebody get diagnosed with prostate cancer. Like, holy fuck, what am I gonna do now? And you think, wait, Jerry Rich said, if I stop eating sugar, I'll stop feeding the cancer. These little things might click in, and they might help someone, maybe 23 of you. But if I wanted to, I'll go out and do I'll walk around a stadium and take pictures of a building and get 20,000 views. But quite honestly, as interesting as that is to other people, I don't think it's as healthy, as important. It's not as interesting to me. I want to say it's not as interesting to me, because what's interesting to me is health. Start with health. Once the health is in check, then I'm very interested in football games. I'm very interested in other stuff. But I cannot deal with how do I go out and do something if I don't feel good? So the way that we have been in our society coping with that is we've been drinking caffeine. We started eating too much sugar. That made us depressed. It also made us fat and sluggish and inactive. So someone came up with the idea, hey, let's add caffeine to the mix. Kind of wakes you up in the morning. Cures that sugar hangover. You ever hear of a sugar hangover? If you don't have caffeine or sugar after a sugar hangover, how does your day Try it. Try not eating sugar for one day. Just see how it goes mood-wise. You'll find that you're probably heavily addicted to it. And you'll be like, oh no, I can't be. This is something I studied. I did a term paper, which is essentially a thesis in high school, because I mean, doing one project for 6 months is like that's forever. And anyway, so I did one project, and the one project was I was fascinated by this concept, so I studied it. There was a book. It was called From Chocolate to Morphine, and it was a directory of it was talking about all drugs and the history of drugs and all this stuff. And I was fascinated by that. And they talked about sugar being a drug in the 80s. And I agreed. Everything they said is what they're saying now. They just said it back then more theoretically, but 40 years later, 30 years later, 40 years later, they've now concluded, like Harvard in just in the last like 10 years, from 2010 to now. I mean, some of the studies 2019, they have concluded what they were saying, that sugar is a drug. Sugar is technically a poison. You don't need sugar to operate a human body. And if you read the doctor's journals, they'll all say, oh, you can't. I've been doing it for 2 years now. Beef and water, that's all I eat. Going all against the medical, and all that's happened is I've gotten healthier. So, I'm here to tell you, you don't need sugar. And I'll tell you why. Because our brains didn't evolve on it. Our bodies didn't. These bodies evolved over 200 and, how long did it take? 250,000 years, whatever. They've been in this state for 250,000 years. Okay? So 250,000 years ago, you didn't have farms producing gluten or bread. What they ate was, well, you had a rat. You ate that. You know what I mean? You ate proteins. That's what they ate. And if they couldn't find protein, and then and only then would they eat leaves. And then the leaves were the carbs that would sustain them. And once they started eating the leaves, evolution stepped in and said, shit, they're eating leaves, they don't know what they're doing, but it must mean that they can't get protein. So what I'm gonna do is switch mechanisms. We're gonna stop processing proteins because that's just too hard, we don't have any. So we're gonna start processing carbohydrates for our fuel. And any excess fuel we get, we're gonna store them as fat because we don't wanna die. And that's how you got here. Okay? So that's why we ate leaves. And just in case there's no other alternatives for protein. Meat protein, not gluten. Vegan protein is another word for vegan protein is gluten, just so you know. Meat protein is what you need. Is this on? I can never tell if this thing's on. I forget. Okay, is it on? Okay, good. Okay, so not that, I always check, but really this is just for myself. I'm kind of thinking like right now, I'll post this today, I'll probably get 20 views, you guys will watch for a minute. If anybody's watching at this stage, hey, congrats, man, I'm glad you're here. For you, because I'm thinking like this will be like 20 years from now, people will be like, shit, what do we do? And people will be looking for answers and they'll stumble on this channel and say, shit, this guy. And, this guy, I'll be either, well, hopefully I'll be here. But let's say 200 years from now, and I'm not here. Anyways, this is probably why people stop watching by this time. I'm gonna check out here in a minute, but I just wanted to say, just wrap it up real quick. So that's the evolutionary process. But the further complicated, here's the bigger problem. And this is where we're at today. And this is what I'm screaming out because everywhere I look, everywhere I see, people are like friends of mine and people, even my mom, people are just so like, they're so brainwashed. They're like, oh my gosh, they're helping promote sugar. They're saying, they're showing pictures of treats and they're like, look at this delicious treat I'm eating. And I don't just mean just like the cupcakes and stuff. I mean like Taco Bell, big pasta dishes, sauces, basically anything that isn't steak or chicken or meat is carbohydrates. And your brain, okay, so we have the part with the body. The body, when it gets a carbohydrate, says, let's store it as fat. So even if you start eating protein, while you're still in that carbohydrate mode, it's very, very difficult to lose weight. So, while you, it's kind of like if you kind of take a look at like Derek Carr and some of these younger athletes, what's happening is, see, they're eating sugar. And if you look at the athletes before them, they're eating a bunch of sugar and going to the gym and working out. They need to eat the sugar because without the sugar, without the carbohydrates, without the energy drinks and all the stuff they do before they work out, they don't have the energy to go. So they have some, they could, but they really want to push it. So they take more, so they push it. So they eat all this carbohydrate and then they use that energy to build muscle. Okay. Well, what happens is, it's kind of like, remember when people start, remember Conan the Barbarian? Do you remember Pump It Up, from SNL, and they're just like, that, see, that's what's happening. See, look at the difference between my body and like Derek Carr's. See, I mean, I'm older, obviously, I'm 25 years older than him. But I'm saying, like, look at my muscles, and just like the muscle tone, it's gonna shape my body. Like, I'm smaller than him. I'm more agile than him, okay? Because what he's doing is he's ingesting carbohydrates, which changes his fat burning metabolism mechanism inside him. Then he's going to the gym, and he's pumping a bunch of iron, right? With all that extra juice. See, if I went to the gym, he would be able to out pump iron me. I could do maybe 1 rep, 2 reps, 3 reps. But the difference is that would be all I need, and my arms would get ripped. Whereas he's got all this extra energy, he's got to do a bunch of them, so he gets bigger and bigger and bigger, combined with the fact that his metabolism is not processing proteins, it's processing carbos. So he's storing fat inside his muscles, so they're getting these pumped up muscles, like pumped. So when these guys get older, they lose their muscles, and they start kind of like, they figure, well, it's just old age. No, it's just that your muscles were built with sugar mixed in with them. Now, sugar, just so you know, technically, is a poison to your body because we didn't evolve with it. We're not used to it. That's why alcohol works. Alcohol is nothing. Alcohol takes whatever plant or whatever root, whatever they're dealing with, and extracts the sugar from that plant, whether it's a potato or it's a berry, juniper berry. Extracts the sugar, and then you ferment the sugar. So it's all, alcohol and sugar are very closely related. Man, I hope this lapel mic works too. This is the first time I've been trying this. So I didn't really test it out, but oh well. Hey man, if it doesn't work, if this didn't work out, that's okay. Okay, so sorry, it's starting when I start talking a little too long, my brain starts drifting. I got other things I got going on. Plus, I'm getting hungry. So yeah, so we're at the gym. So I don't need to work out that much, right? So I didn't need to go. I personally don't go to the gym because I don't eat a bunch of carbos or take caffeine. That's what happens when you eat a bunch of fruit and smoothies and stuff. You have to go run triathlons and stay looking normal. If you just eat normal food, what you're meant to eat, you will get small like a normal human again. So, just like they kind of did, what we noticed back in the day was, how we came about this was Jenna Joy would, because I watched a lot of movies and I watched old movies, and she loves old movies, and she'd point out, like, if you look at the old movies, the people were smaller. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And it took me a while, but now I see what she's talking about. And you look at them, I'm like, oh, no, look, see, they're fat. Yeah, I'm not saying they're not fat. They were getting fat. People get fat. But they were smaller. And what's happened is that they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger because the generations of sugar addicts, the mothers, are becoming more and more addicted. So as time goes by, like your grandmother ate less sugar than the 20-year-old mom today. The 20-year-old mom today eats probably 100 times more sugar than great grandma did in the 1920s. Just primarily because they knew sugar was bad for you. Today, sugar, they eat it like it's, they glorify it. They're like, oh, look at all this sugar. Because, here's the next thing. And this is one of the other reasons why sponsors don't like us. Because every time I mention this topic, YouTube flags my account. Because what happens with sugar addicts is it leads to bulimia. And that's what no one wants to talk about. That's what no one wants to hear, because everyone you see on TV, all the models, all the celebrities, all the young ones, all those guys are bulimic. And it goes all the way at the top. And I can guarantee you, because there's no way those guys can drink coffee every day, smoke cigarettes, drink beer, eat cakes, and be as thin as Barack Obama, while his wife and daughter are eating the same thing, getting fat AF. So how does Barack stay so thin? Right, it knows no bounds, this addiction, and neither does bulimia. And the problem with bulimia is that you can eat.
Forward 30.
Thank you, Furby. I got to get going. So, yeah, that's a big topic there. So it goes all the way up to the top, but definitely down to the Jenners. And the Jenners promote the crap. They show these young girls that are skinny eating these huge, huge plates of food and candy and desserts and cakes, but looking skinny as a rail. Well, that would drive a young girl crazy who's trying, they'd be like, oh, that person must just have different genes than me. No, they're vomiting it. But the problem is with bulimia is that it stops working, and when you throw it up, what's happened is that you're just consuming the sugar. And then you get the idea that you can eat more sugar than you normally would. Like normally if you eat sugar, you're like, okay, I can only have so much of that because I don't want to get fat. But if you could eat it and then vomit it and you think you won't get fat, how much are you gonna have? Right. What they don't realize is that your brain figures out what you're doing, just like it did 250,000 years ago with the leaves. Sorry, I got a little bigger up there. And what it does is it says, hey, this sugar is so fucking good that they're just gonna keep eating so much of it. But then the brain said, well, we have to live on something, and sugar digests like that because it's already in glucose form. It doesn't need any digestion, unlike proteins and even complex carbohydrates would need a little bit, like a bread, but like a cake or ice cream, that just goes. So those guys eat all that stuff, they become heavily addicted to sugar. And sugar technically is a poison to your body because of what we described about it. Our bodies weren't a process on it, and our brain wasn't used to experiencing it, which is why it goes nuts with just a little bit of little sugar. It just lights it up like a Christmas tree. And so what's happened is that the sugar, people are becoming more and more addicted. You need more and more fuel. The body can only get 3 tablespoons out a day. People are eating more like 30 or in some cases 300. And so, yeah, that's what's causing your cancer. So anyways, that's a quick blog for today. I'm gonna have breakfast now. Been a lot of fun. Also, smoke weed. That's the other thing. Smoke weed is a crucial component to it, because once you start wanting to lose weight and you got all that crap in you for 20 years of fat, that's stored energy from 20 years ago. Okay, well that shit is toxic, especially the shit that we've probably been eating. So if you want to get that stuff out and you want to, a really good medicine for it is marijuana. You smoke it, it gets in your cells. That's helped me a lot. I can feel it when I do it. You can feel it just I kind of rub myself. You kind of just feel it kind of working through its way through the cells. And I can't explain it because there's not been a lot of studies on it. And I'm just more of empirical evidence. I'm saying, look, I mean, no gym. I'm hungry at this moment, but I wasn't hungry a minute ago. I'm gonna have breakfast here. Come on, I'll show you what I'm gonna have. And mind you, see, this is what your fridge looks like when you don't eat sugar. You just have your essentials. Some Pellegrino mineral water, some beef, and beef. That's it. I know it doesn't sound like fun, and that's why no one watches the channel. But like I said, hey man, I've got the cure for you. The fountain of youth. When you're 80, you'll look like you're 16, and you'll fuck like you're 16. And you'll have the best time ever, and everyone's gonna think you're great, and you won't get cancer, and you'll live forever and have a wonderful life. Like, awesome. How much does it cost? It's free. No way, what I gotta do? Well, you have to just, eat to live instead of living to eat. What do you mean? Well, you can't be like, go out to dinner and eat sugars and stuff. You can't go out to dinner no more? No. They'll be like, oh, never mind then. I'll just be whatever. And so that's the change of behavior we're talking about. So, thanks for watching. Give us a subscribe if you like, and give it a like, give it a thumbs up if you like. And you can always find all of our social media channels, because we're on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Vimeo, Twitter, and some others. Just go to JediRich.com and you'll find everything else you need to know there. And thank you for watching, and have an awesome day. Christmas is in 2 days, you guys. Oh, watch. This is, I kind of like to, all right, Scotty, I think we're done here. Go ahead and beam me up.